duty. Ms. Peterson is still working on the minutes, so there are no minutes to present from meeting number 8. And the first topic of discussion is the package proposal provided by the Dickinson Education Association last week. Floor is open.
First off, I wanted to thank you for putting thought into your proposal and giving us a list of things, because I think that's very helpful for us to start moving through and knocking off the things. I'm on the wrong week. Let me just look. I wanted to get your proposal out. There it is. Okay. So as you know, your proposal represents about double of the new money that's available. And the other part of your proposal is it's about a 6 3/4% raise. And at a time when people in Dickinson are losing their jobs and are getting not large raises, and we are continuing to lose students, that would be problematic for the board to be able to go that high in a raise in money. So this evening we do have a counter proposal for you. Do you want to talk first?
Mm-hmm. So before we hand it out, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. So because of the limited funds, it's a pretty bare bones proposal, but I was trying to address some of your concerns. So it includes a graduated personal leave, but it's just 3 days starting at 11 and up. In exchange, we would be asking for 1 professional development day that you would be paid for. $215 on the base pays for that day at your contracted rates. And then in addition, there would be another professional development day that you could take or not on a non-school day. So pretty much professional development activities that you're already doing on your own during the summertime, you would also get paid at your contracted rate for that day, but you don't have to do it. It's completely optional. So that's kind of what it is, and you take a look at it.
I call it the floating PD day, just it's easier for me to think of that. So here's some, if there's one for Mr. Hafner. Do you need one? Vince, do you need one?
Yeah.
Is there enough there for everybody? I have one more. If anybody needs one.
While you're looking at it, just for the audience's purposes, I'm just kind of going to go through the statistics of what the salaries look like. A new teacher would make $44,182. For someone moving from step 0 to step 1, it's a $1,168 raise. Just to give you an idea. Someone moving from step 10 to step 11, it's $1,631. And then if you're moving from step 15 to first career increment, it's a $2,636 raise. All of our salaries still come in second place among the top 9.
So you have what's our total cost of the proposal?
The total cost of the proposal is $795,747. So it's a little bit more than the new money.
And then we can, just for your benefit, if you want to break out some of those costs, salary and benefits is $642,411. The graduated personal leave is $30,000. And the optional PD day would cost $123,336.
Would you repeat the, I guess, I missed the, was it on the base again? I didn't get that.
The $215 on the base.
That was
That's in
for,
lieu of another professional development day, is that what you just said?
So that pays, so in the past, one thing we've heard is, I haven't been here for it, but I've heard that when professional development days were suggested in the past, a complaint was that you weren't being paid for the day. So I just wanted to make it clear that we've done the math, and that $215 represents being paid at your contracted rate for that professional development day.
And that would be the grand total added to the calculated base of $215.
With this proposal, yes.
It also includes vertical, horizontal, and the career increments. So just so, and the benefits, it's all rolled into one.
that's the goal.
Mhm.
What, do you have any idea what percent that works out to be?
Percentage of raise.
Yeah.
For most, it's about a 2.7% raise. If you're in career increment land, it's more like a 3.7.
And then the optional professional development day, the $123,336, that is if everybody did it, correct?
Right.
And then that is also included in the total?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, we would have to budget as if everybody would
Oh,
choose
yeah,
to take
yeah.
it. So if you choose to take it, then obviously you get paid an additional contracted day.
Okay. And then the additional professional development day that you wanted to add, it said in here for next year's contract, since the calendar is out, what day would that be? Is that something that would be
Well,
discussed, or I was just
Yeah,
curious.
we'd have to figure that out, but there's storm days built into the calendar already, or, well, an example would be, we have to build in the teacher convention, but if, say, if you didn't have it, there would be 2 days. But that has to be something that we really have to work through, only if you're interested in that particular, if we're gonna go with this proposal. That's, but first we need to see what your reaction is to it before we got carried away with a lot of details.
Oh,
But
okay.
we've
No,
dis-
I was just asking.
Yeah, we've discussed it at the board table as well about where would we put different things on the calendar if you had to add something or take something out. We've discussed numerous things. So we think it can be worked out. The board can amend the calendar, but there's a lot that would go into it, of course.
Is there like voting that would be happening, like voting with
The
the
calendar
employees,
committee.
or?
I don't know, that would depend on the administration and how that's going to go, because I know the calendar committee has discussed numerous options, so it would probably go back to the administration, but you'd have to see, like, what are the sports, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. I was
So
just
it
curious.
would, yeah, we'd have to work that out.
Just so you understand, part of our thinking was, it's difficult for us to give the graduated personal leave, right? Because our decisions have to be student-focused. And as we said before, it's always better to have the teacher in the classroom rather than a substitute. So our thinking is, if we can have this extra professional development day, that would perhaps cut back on the times you're pulled out of your classroom for those kinds of activities. So in exchange for being able to take another day whenever you want, then maybe we can have you be in your class more during the regular school year, so you don't have to be leaving. We can do that professional development on a separate day. That was kind of our thinking with that.
Again, what would a new teacher make?
44,182.
We're like a caucus.
Meetings in recess.
Computer use.
I don't think so. We don't have a computer available. do we?
Okay.
Unless,
Well, no, because I
Yeah,
want
it's
to-
going.
Surface or
Yeah,
I want
something?
the,
Pull up a surface.
I don't know if anyone has.
all right. I was just gonna try and get access that,
The calculator?
The spreadsheet that we had, so I wanted to access that and play some numbers, so.
Can
Okay.
we email
All
it
right.
to him?
Well, I think he
Fine,
has it, it's just a device
I need a
to get
computer,
it
yes.
on.
Oh, you
It's
need
on my,
something
it's
to
on my
put-
email.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
something to put on, okay.
Maybe we should ask the techs to have another one. They used to have them, but now they're locked up.
Yeah,
Can we have a Surface?
Can they borrow a Surface?
Yes.
We want them to be able to do their,
Yeah.
I think somebody moved that key.
uh-oh.
Do you want me to get a Surface for you?
I think, yeah.
I think that would be
Yes, please.
polite, thank you.
Would you, yeah. Would you just knock on the door there and tell them that she's gonna get them a Surface? Or I think she did, maybe, just so that they know. What's that? I did. I need to. Are you coming with me? Sure. Bring your things.
So I'm guessing that if they calculate that, they'll use that one that I sent them that has all the dollars on both sides, not the increased one that
Oh,
so that's the one I have pulled up.
okay.
Brought both sets.
Thank you, Carla. Well, but that difference is divided by turned off my mic. The tapes are still running. I know now, I know
No, it's, the only version they have is the one. It's fine, yeah, it's right.
They have the correct one? Good.
I thought they had the wrong one.
No, a long time ago, last week when you and I spoke about 2066, I went back and looked at what he sent that original $12 to us, not increase this one.
I thought this one was left.
Well, the vertical movement one.
I think that's the one that, that's actually the one. I'm just concerned
This one's got.
this guy's in there. Okay. All right, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Pretty sure that's the one I sent. Not we'll just talk through it.
All right. We have it available to put up on the screen. Calculator?
Is that a possibility? We need to do that?
So I just thought if we,
Except they have all my other tabs.
oh.
It might be a hand show.
I was just thinking it might be easier for people.
Rather than to verify, I mean, I think it's, if we get that close. I don't know that we do that like home with the sign in front of it.
Just so that my little pictures are still.
Yeah.
I should have offered to draw pictures for this too. Do you want me to draw pictures for the proposal?
There's probably some more to say, just to say a few things once we hear what their comments are. I think it's helpful though to have the calculator so everybody here can see it. And they can see what we're talking about instead of trying to figure out what are we talking about. The administrative salary schedule committee insists on meeting now at 7 in the morning. Well, this is the day before the event, so it's super busy. The alternate date is Wednesday. Online, or in their office. You can go online right now and buy some. Mm-hmm. 7 o'clock. What? Where?
Jurassic Park. Taking the boys.
Mm-hmm. Well, I took my kids to some big dragon thing that they had there. When David was really little, it was fantastic. It wasn't like that, but it was like, they were like, I don't remember what do you call it. They were in the mall, and they were huge, and some of them made noises and had wings, their wings going, they were pterodactyls and stuff. It doesn't really matter, it's just that it was fantastic. Yeah. Mitzi always was the hospital being less than 3%. We own rental properties that are 75% vacant. And you know what? The bank still wants to be paid. Pretty sure I turned it off. Well, you don't have to. You have more time to eat and drink. It's a chocolate to and enjoy it if you have it, but it doesn't until animals like the wolves and stuff at 9. So give you some time, but it's not over till 10.
And she come back to see us.
I know all of
Yes.
I won a bunch of prizes.
What?
I won a bunch of auctions.
Oh, they did. Well, good. Who's that?
I get yours.
Wow. That's super.
You don't. Never mind.
Who do I have? Well, that is mine. Never mind.
Mine right here.
Call the meeting back to order. Floor is open.
I think our mics are off. Oh. Excuse me.
I just want to just clarify a couple things as we're looking through it and so forth. That with your proposal, you're basically saying you're going to give us $215 for another professional development day, which means that in essence there is no raise.
Well,
Everyone takes a step.
I don't take a step.
Okay, everyone who takes a step still gets a raise. Those who have current increments, it's still a raise. We're just, if you're not interested in that, that's okay. We can talk about something else. I'm not here to make people angry.
Oh,
Just
no,
here
I'm-
to try and
We're
be
trying to work
creative with the
money that we
we
have.
have. Exactly.
you have any questions?
Do you have any questions?
No, not right now.
I guess I would agree that with the slowdown, we have to be cautious. I believe that we have made a lot of good points about graduated personal leave. And you met us halfway there. As far as the $250 on the base and working another day, that's, I don't even know what to say about that. I think back to in July when, or in May when this came up in another negotiation process, Mrs. Fair was also concerned about the slowdown and didn't think the public perception of 7.5% would be perceived by the public as it would want it to be. But what you come up with instead of that wasn't a $250 and people, or $212 and people work more. It was more like 3.5% and a $3,500 across the board flat raise. So I really don't even know what to say about the $215.
Mr. Smith,
It's very frustrating.
what we think we heard was more that you wanted to put money on the base rather than the flat. So we've been trying to figure out how to do that. And we also heard that you were wanting graduated personal leave. So we're trying to figure that out. If we give, giving on the graduated personal leave, there's a day for a day in our minds. There's a cost to everything. So, as Mrs. Ricks said, if you're not interested, say, in some things, then let us work on some other things. We are kind of taking a stab at what we are thinking you are interested in. You know about how much money we have to work with. So we're trying to figure out how we can stay within that. We also have limits put on us by the board, where in the past we didn't have limits put on us this early in the game. So Mr. Hanson and I went ahead and made all kinds of offers, and now this year the board has told us generally when they want us to come back, where we didn't have that restriction before. So we're trying to work with what we can right now.
I had a question. This doesn't really have to do with salary, the professional development day. And this is coming from just an elementary standpoint too. Just for clarification, what I was hearing is you said that you want to add the professional development day, so we are not missing out during the school day and we'll get it during that day. Well, my concern is in the elementary, a lot of times I find out like the week before, okay, you're going to phonics training this half day. And then I found out, okay, a couple weeks prior, choose one of these days that would work for you, you're going to watch another teacher. And that's kind of how it works, things come up during the year. Mm-hmm. So I don't foresee that reasoning working in the elementary. I think we're going to be adding another day, and we're still going to have all the other professional development that we're having during the year. So I don't know if adding a day would really solve that problem, I guess. Like I said, this is coming from the elementary to, I don't know, it might be different at the high school, but.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good to know. I mean, thank you for that feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking that, yeah. Because a lot of times they don't know that this training is available at the time of the professional development day. It's usually during the year, so yeah, that's just a thought.
Figuring just the $215 on the calculating base, it's only about a 0.5% increase in money, which won't even cover the cost of our insurance, I don't believe. And I don't have the exact number, but 14%. I don't believe that it will even cover the cost of our insurance increase. We'll be going backwards, I believe.
I don't think so. I think you worked that out so that no one was going backward.
Yeah, it's on each step, it's 0.6%. Most people take a step, so then it's 2.7%. I agree that that is a concern we need to look at. We did the math, I believe it was about, worst case scenario, $40 a month is what we figured out. So I guess there potentially need to be a couple of specific individuals we'd have to look at then. That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
For individuals such as myself that are in between career increments, if we have a 10% raise on the insurance, which I believe is very possible, 10% of, I think, what is it, $320 is my share? Is that correct?
For a family,
For a
right now
family.
you're at 260.
260.
And if it goes to 14%, I estimated that the out-of-pocket would go to 296. So we're saying about $40.
About $40.
So 480 a year.
So for those individuals at the bottom end, again, it's a wash. And one of your main points was to retain and we were thinking recruit, and I'm just not sure. I'm positive that this is a step in the wrong direction.
I think I can be pretty honest and say this isn't ratifiable by the DEA.
Okay.
I'm hearing you guys say if it's something that we're interested in, I know this isn't ratifiable.
Okay, so there's no interest in this extra professional development day? Is that we don't?
And then,
There's no interest in this package proposal.
Okay.
so then we've got graduated personal leave and the professional development are gone.
Well, according to, it was in your negotiation,
Yeah.
yours and as well as ours, that if at this package proposal, if any portion of the package proposal is rejected, the school board will conclude that the entire package proposal has been rejected.
Right.
I'm not saying that we're not willing to negotiate some of those finer points.
Do you have anything you want to offer back? Do you have a counter proposal, or do you have anything you'd like to talk about? I mean, just as you look at this and you look at the cost, you look at how much it costs, you know how much new money it is, and you know the constraints we're in. That's what we want to show you, that this is one thing. One way that could be done.
The new cost, I believe you said 642, 411 was the cost of the salary proposal, correct?
Mm-hmm. Salary and benefits.
Right,
yes.
and I believe when I plugged it into that worksheet, it was like 540 something. And I could bring it up again, but I believe it was 540 something.
Well,
One of the things, as I worked on some of this, make sure that career increment cell is activated.
I just plugged in on the yellow line, and everything else went like it always has been. So, and I believe it came in at 542.
Look at that cell to see if, because in one that was handed out, there was vertical movement, but nothing else.
This was the salary cost calculator that you sent me, that I went to your email. So if it wasn't checked when it came from you.
But, yeah, and I'm saying
and
it
it's
could be that the
542, and that was the exact same one
isn't
we've been using.
activated, but.
Mr. Fay, there are a couple different calculators. I was using the same one you were using that doesn't have the horizontal movement. And so I had actually, I think the one you're using only has the vertical movement on. I was using the same one initially, and I put together a bunch of proposals, and I was really happy, and then found out that it actually cost a lot more, and then I
Actually,
was really sad.
I do believe that the horizontal movement was figured on there as an average over that he's taken over the
Career.
Oh, it
past
was,
few
I'm
years.
sorry, I apologize.
Yes.
Career increments
Career.
is what was not included on that one, which
But
is a big
it did
chunk of money.
add.
I think it must have
Yep,
been.
it was on there.
Because all our other calculations are coming up with yours.
There were some, but there were 30?
There are 30 career increments potential next year, so.
I just know that I was using the same calculator, and then I had to go back and do it all over again because that one wasn't correct.
So can we get a correct one?
Do you have that surface that you
Yep.
had? Let me just check it.
You just take a little recess while
It
they
would
check
just
it.
take a keystroke to activate it, if it wasn't one that was in there.
I think the idea of the floating PD is a step in the right direction.
Well, and you know that last year, Mr. Hanson and I really liked that idea because we attend conferences in the summer. It doesn't really matter to me if it's a great conference and it's in Disney World and your family goes. But if it's a great conference and it applies to your academic area and you can use it, then that's fantastic. We would want you to do that.
Yeah, especially the fact that it is voluntary. It's not a mandated day. There's positive in that. But that's the only thing I can see positive. The concept of nothing, $215 on the base and then asking for a PD day is,
Well, you
It's
understand-
difficult.
You understand it's one day for one day and then to pay for that PD day, so you would get paid.
I understand that.
You know, that's what we have to add to the base to pay for it.
Let's try and
Yeah.
let these gentlemen do their work.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't-
Oh, sorry.
We have two conversations going on at once, so
We can just take a little recess while they do
if you'd like a recess, okay?
it. Just a
Meeting
recess so
will be
they
in
can do
recess.
it. Then we don't talk about it. We don't start talking. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Oh, here, use this.
Just trying to navigate the landscape.
That's all right, that's good.
I don't know. It's right there.
That's where it was.
What'd you do, Matt?
I don't know.
I don't know what you did, man.
I know.
Telling somebody to make contact negotiations again.
I gotta reach back up here again. Here, why don't you sit down? I know some of our knees aren't as young as they used to be. Mine aren't either.
Really? This one's right here, right? I would think it would be. I mean, I'm getting like my little map. I just I have this stuff. I mean, really. Thinking about recalculating it.
That's right.
Because I can understand the concept. It's really normally where I need to understand. Jason was so good because he'd be sitting there. That's a lot of dollars. That's only like $50. That's doable. Yeah, something that.
Click on that. I want to see. Oh, there's 0. There's 30 of them. When I sent that, I wasn't assuming that I was giving career increments for anything. It was a calculator, but we know there's going to be 30. So I left that stuff at 0, and that was active.
I was just looking at
Because that's exactly now we're on the same page. All the days. But that was it. And I figured it was when they said how much we were different on our
All the numbers are the same.
Well, that's the same thing now that
Sarah's right at 642, 411. Right?
Then I didn't change. Then
Okay, we'll come back to order, and I'll just provide a brief explanation for the audience, so the audience is aware of why the difference initially happened. Right now, both numbers are exactly the same, 642, 411, and there's a cell in the calculator that both parties are using that needs a number for the number of career increments. That cell was left at 0 because the administration did not want to assume that there were going to be career increments, because it was something that could be negotiated. And so when you plug in the number of potentially 30 career increments for next year, then the numbers come out the same. So it wasn't a flaw in the formula, it was just making sure that the proper data was inputted to the calculator. So there's the explanation. The numbers are the same now, and so the floor is open.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
Well, we're hoping that you had something.
Well, we kind of had something in mind, but ours was along the lines of the same, something similar to ours, because we knew coming in with the number that we came in with was high. And part of the negotiations is the give and take.
Absolutely.
And we knew from our members that the two things that were basically non-negotiable, were
We're very important.
the professional development leave.
The
or
graduated
the
person.
graduate person
Okay.
leave, yes. Not that. And ensuring that we take care of our older people, our older staff, our veteran staff. You know, we were looking at coming in, you know, we were willing to negotiate on the base, obviously, because we knew we came in high. And like I said last time, we don't want to break the bank. But adding a professional development day and $250 to compensate for it is a wash. And I don't think that we can, I know that's not, we can't sell that. I know we can't.
Well, and the graduated personal leave is set up really to benefit your veteran teachers. That's how it's set up. But that's also what career increments are set up for as well. So, and just keep in mind that there are many things already put into our salary schedule that benefit the veteran teachers. So we don't want to short anyone else. We're not asking people to go back, but we are trying, in our minds, to be as fair as possible.
And I understand that one of the, I don't know if downsides is the right word, but one of the things with career increments is it's only every other year. And it's a good amount of money, but on those off years,
You
I
don't get as-
understand.
you
that
don't get as much.
Yeah,
That's
the raise
how it
may
is.
not be great. And so if that's something that's problem, you know, I guess we could look at that, but
Well, I know for a fact that, you know, some people very much smarter than I am, who sat on this table a long time ago, agreed on the career increments. And they did a very good job with that, so that is not something that we're even willing to discuss. Because that is definitely a benefit for our veteran teachers, absolutely.
It is.
I'm not gonna dispute that at all. I'm afraid that it's just far too low.
okay.
And if you want, we can take another 2 minutes and go see, you know, because we've discussed some stuff, and you know, we can come back and potentially offer. But I'm going to be honest that everything else besides the salary would stay the same in our proposal.
Well, one thing, just so now that you know what sort of this bare bones proposal looks like. That's how, once you add in all the career increments and everything, there's not a lot left over for the amount of new money that the board has to work with. And keep in mind, we have a very narrow leash this year. I'm not kidding on that.
No, the board was very, very clear that
We need to come back to them with direction very specifically. So we're not saying this is
No.
the number we have to go back at, but we're letting you know we have 773,000 about, and this proposal is more than that. And we hear what you're saying that's important to you. I think it would be helpful if you had if you wanted to come back with something else with that for us. And we could put it into the calculator and take a look at it. Maybe we want to take a look at it all together and think about it too. Those are some things, because we're really struggling to work with what we have.
You can try.
Take 2. Okay. I'm gonna take this with us.
Good idea.
Meeting's in recess.
Maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe they, if nobody does it, then yes, we just save money. We should have an idea. Maybe. I know that these don't have, excuse me, I don't know that these have, I know these have some errors in it, but if we just take a look at these that you did, or I guess I did them, I thought I was looking at yours. Is there anything I think we've covered all of these, this isn't what I meant to look at. I printed out for the ones you did, I probably haven't. Is there anything else? No, it's freezing in here. This is what I wanted to look at, I'm sorry. Actually, it's right here. Does it just say right here? Use my highlighter, that's open. Right. Just looking at the money. When they said okay. Nothing. Attached is the house report. You know what? It says something like members' right for its person. And the fifth panel recommends that we don't have it. There's no reasoning with it. And then I emailed them back saying, well, was there any reasoning for that? And he didn't answer. I thought I said this to you. Sent it to you today. Where is it? Am I not in my send? Here we go. See if that's what I got from him. It does take a while on a phone. What happened to it? Is it still going? So I don't really think that it's valid. Okay, proceedings, hearing findings. Salary plan, that was it. The recommendation then is right here. And I think it was maybe just making a compromise and saying, hey, which one is it? I'm not sure anybody for anything.
The bill. Obviously, both are way graduated first grade at 30 grand and floated DPD day at 153,000 is
Yep. Yep. We're talking about the new Salem new pass. That's what we were talking about. I thought I sent that to her and I didn't, so she was looking at the thing.
Sarah?
Yeah, so that's what we were looking at.
Am I supposed to delete them? I just read them. liked your comments. I'm sure they'll be there when you get off. Outside of the home. She's a domestic. She could be a domestic auto. Good for her. One of the ranges was newborn to.
This isn't this way. You wouldn't approve these other proposals.
The meeting will come back to order, please. The floor is open.
Well, we appreciate the effort on the personal leave. We do believe that we can sell 3 days at 11 years. We do like the optional floating professional development day that Mrs. Fair talked about. We do not believe that another day added to the calendar next year is feasible or ratifiable by our group, and we know that the 215 isn't. And we did some number crunching in the back and figured out the 215 was about a 40 cent per hour raise, roughly 38.75%. So we're willing to come back with a counter, accepting those two items at $1,200 on the base, calculating base, which is a little above that number. It's 1.194. It's about a 5.3%. That's at $1,200.
Yeah, then we can.
And that's significantly below the 6.5% that was already been set as a precedent in the district for this contract that we're talking about.
Just to make a point, every year, we look at it differently. This year, we're looking at people losing their jobs in our town, possibly going into a recession. We continue to lose students. So I wouldn't agree that it's 6% or whatever as a precedent, because we can't just go back and say, well, that's what we gave you, what we did before, so we should look at that first. We really have to look at what's available and what the budget's looking like.
I think a concern is, in order for us to get the board's approval for graduated personal leave, we need something in exchange, I feel like, in order to sell that, because again, the concern there is, are we student focused? Sorry,
I
go
believe
ahead.
we've given a lot. We've dropped the salary index. We've dropped one of the personal development, or personal days on this one. We've given a lot, I believe. And along the same lines as you, this contract has to be ratifiable by both sides.
And when we look at it, other than salary, we're gonna get half of what we came in with.
But you knew that wasn't realistic when you proposed it.
Proposed what?
your first salary.
No, no,
proposal.
I'm talking.
Yeah, the number, we realized was high.
We're
Absolutely.
talking, we have to negotiate salaries. When we take everything else, the graduated personal
Oh, I
leave,
see.
the
Mhm.
indexes, all those other things, we've basically given everything and have even said we would go on half of the graduated personal leave proposal. And
Well, just to give you a perspective on personal leave, last year, the accumulation was a pretty tough sell to the board. So now I'm going to go back again with another personal leave request. When last year, that was a really hard sell. This year, I think it would be hard, even more difficult. Unless we can say, we also have this. And we can trade, we can show that we have something else to go with that. Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Fair,
could we please take a recess?
the meeting's in recess.
Thank you.
Maybe we should
But this is a non-contract date.
The average, over 8%. They don't negotiate on that. I'm just going for minutes. You don't have to.
Okay.
Elmer, you coming into my room and wiping off your whiteboard and documenting every brother week or so? Huh?
Yes. And I get really stuffed up. Like my advisors.
Before he got back to the room, Mike was already in there with my gloves on, which I 911 staff. Two. And man on. Are you torn? Are you torn?
All right.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm fine. That's the norm. And then you have Jennifer with her coffin. That's horrible. How many days are you threw the garbage.
Well, I got rid of I only have. What do you need this one? Well, you better. It's not an option link. You must sign it. We'll forge your name. But it's like Batman or Wonder Woman or Supergirl. Use red and yeah, and I said, you know, I said, we have,
asked me what I wanted for Mother's Day. I told them I was looking at stuff on Amazon, so now I get emails or Amazon orders. This is my email on there. Yeah, let me see. One click and I can find out what I'm getting for Mother's Day. It's from Amazon. Not great. It's fine, yeah.
I wasn't. Well, honey, I listened to yours on. I was listening, no, I missed them. I was sorry, a little busy. Did you guys sign the book? Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's too much
I know, but what do you do with it? I see the farm, I somewhere. That's all I touch. Yeah. Rubber meetings, come on. I got that myself. What's the first recording? It's the rubber making containers. It was on. I haven't looked at much. I was actually doing some big schools related on my phone, and I passed by Amazon the other day, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, guys, keep working. It was just one of those boxes. Gotcha. I got staff gotcha today.
These fields. Actually, they're all over. The teacher got it. We get yes too. We should get rid of it.
It's a nonprofit. It's not like a $5 million one. Somebody asked him last couple of Can't wait to see it. It's gonna scare your dog. I was kind of sitting on here, and I thought it was good. I'm just kind of stretched out. Especially in Ohio. I was telling her that in this minutes. Sean, go a little harder. What are you supposed to do there? Just not. That's why in the dorm room. Nice. Okay. I mean, that's really where the end. I'm not actually
We gotta slow down to follow those. Always try to be
Well, we'll take your word for it. Take your word for it. It was we got her third.
Oh my God. I don't want to use a voucher for a haircut. I had to get a haircut at an opportune time, like on a Sunday night. She's like, yeah, I think I'm going for a haircut. She's like, the salts are closed now. You did that on purpose, didn't you? To get my hopes up. There's no shortage of slippers at our house either. He's got more than a little to give. To donate a lot of love.
Maybe that would be donate to lots of love. He could be in his suit.
Yep.
He could be a leader there. Oh, I was sorry.
He's thinking it's going to be hot for him this summer. He's getting away his sweat experience.
So we need a hot summer.
He's going to work for his dad.
What if he starts with something else, a ponytail, a braid, or a tail?
Okay, yeah, he has.
Command lens.
See, I
Drives tyrant.
maybe it's a board.
We could work that out.
I mean, I can make a lot of shot before. I'm afraid of what I got to find and just something that also doesn't have to see.
Comes out once a year.
Gotcha.
Some guy over there.
We were a little surprised this year when we found it.
It depends on which way you look There's a lot of life skills, recipes was involved. It's science was involved.
Like they do like I don't know. I've never been to jail.
No, I didn't know he knows that recipe.
Like it's a lot easier to do right now.
Board needs your computer.
All the way down, you Wayland can stop over. Or I could just call home and see if there's any on the closet.
Maybe there's some ready for some like her son Dylan is Brady's best friend. But I was still in and then sometimes it's supposed to be but I just don't know. I think I always I said I attribute that. I lived 8 years in a farm, and my dad, he thought you could have a certain a little bedtime story, and I mean, the noise that was made, it is interesting because my college roommates just see and I see that late, but this is so easy to my text. But I really need 6 hours. But me, she stays in the I don't foresee that happening. They set their 8 hours. They be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of it is traffic. They take their time to stay. I mean, I could probably I'd like to see what I was hoping they're better for someone else than they are for you. They did a very good job. I was I said I had 3 now. And as a kid, I was telling children when I was a kid, and so
I started out with you like that program. That is not going to end well for these guys.
This is because that's his house. I kept this as a 2 or 3 sets of papers tonight. That's $16 not for 6 months. If you take one Christmas. I remember if you this is what we asked. I know, but that you would add.
Meeting will come back to order, please. Floor is open.
Okay. All right. So, we'll hand this out to you, but we have some notes. So we would do a counter proposal to you. One thing would be removing the references to school board policy in the negotiated agreement, which we realized that we didn't address yet. The second item would be adding in what I call the floating professional development day. One day, it would still be optional with a sunset clause in 2018, so that we as a board or we as negotiators can evaluate it and see if it's worthwhile or see what happened with it. Number 3 would be the graduated personal leave with a sunset in 2018 as well, so we can evaluate that to see how that works. And then our last offer is salary. So I'll let Mrs. Ricks walk through that, and then I'll hand out the salary. We printed a salary schedule so you can see what it looks like, but I want her to go through that first.
Before you do,
Yep.
Mrs. Ricks, please, Mrs. Fair, would you clarify
Yep,
for the
I'm sorry.
DEA on the graduated personal leave, the
Yes.
number of days?
Well, it'd be just that one additional day, as stated before. So I think
You'd say 3 in 2016, 2017? Is that what you're?
it'd be the same language as what we
Right.
had before.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so for salary, we are now offering $450 on the base. You have to understand that this is a total cost to us of $928,949 when you include the floating PD day and the graduated personal leave. So, we did do the math and made sure that I think the minimum raise to any cell for someone who's not taking a step is $630, which more than adequately covers healthcare rising expenditures. A new teacher would come in at $44,469. Just to pick a couple other cells, somebody at BS 32 and step 10 is now $61,601. And then the masters in 15 is coming in at $72,353.
So we'll hand this out. so that you have copies, and then if we have any additional questions or comments or clarifications, I'll get this, and then,
Okay,
do you have
good.
one?
Okay.
And Vince has one, okay.
What are you budgeting for the optional professional development day?
So, in order to figure that out, after we put money on the base, we take the grand total spent and divide it by 185, so we know how much a day it costs. Does that make sense? So I didn't write that number down, but I can backwards figure it out. Just a second, if you give me 1 second, I'll get it to you. It's $124,715.
So you're assuming everybody's going to take one?
We have
That's
to
what we're
budget
assuming.
it that way.
You have to budget it that way. That's why we want, also, that's another reason to have the sunset, to see how many people are doing it.
And it's one of the reasons we can go that high, because then we can talk to the board and say likely not all of that is going to get used. That's kind of a little bit beyond, I think, what be comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's adding how many staff to our FTE list?
0. Adding 0 staff. We're calculating with the 270.13.
So the to be determines and all that stuff that we've been working on, they're off the table? Or they're not in this proposal?
They're not added to the index, yeah,
Okay.
or taken away,
Mhm.
like we discussed.
Yep.
It's assuming we have the same number of staff members, and they all stay and they roll forward to next year.
Right. I'm just looking at this here. We're giving up.
Oh, okay. It's not like sitting
We
here.
gave up this.
Okay.
Cutting this in half. We're giving up this. We didn't address the SLP issue. And they've given up this. That's it.
Yes, sir.
What? Yep.
Yes, sir.
Jay.
Sure. Okay.
Well, we can talk about the floating professional development.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chair?
Sure.
As far as the floating professional development, I think everybody is in agreement that that is a good thing. We've talked about that. There are some good ideas out there. I do believe that it's something I think that needs maybe some further discussion as far as implementing that right away for next fall. I think that would be very tough. I think if we sat down and we had some discussion on it, about how it needs to be implemented. I mean, right now, if you think about, I think the wording says 40 days. Okay? That's pretty limited considering right now we're already beginning of May. Like I said, we all are in agreement, it's a good idea. I think it's something that needs some discussion for a year, instead of going right at it.
Mr. Schobinger, we discussed that, and we didn't expect anyone would be using it this summer. It would be, you would want to look for a conference and plan out your summer. Right now, we realize that you wouldn't be going in May or June or July or whatever. You would have to plan it out and take it on a non-contract day. You'd have to look for a conference that you really want to attend, and we realize that. That's why we thought a sunset in a couple of years, give people a chance to look it through.
I guess I feel like we're going to run into the same issue. If we try to do it next year, it'll still be right before the summer.
But I'm saying discussion starts soon.
We did discuss this last last negotiations. It was brought, the idea was brought up, and the board was somewhat favorable to it, and it took us a while to think it through. That's why it's up again. And you brought it up again. And
Absolutely.
again, we wanted to say, we thought that had some merit. So we're on our second year of talking about it, or our second round.
We just feel there's a lot of logistics that would need to be worked out instead of just kind of, for lack of a
For
better
example,
word,
the-
shooting from the hip.
For example, the sentence administration would determine a sentence. We would like some input in that. We'd like to be able to. Another one that, okay, teachers may not utilize this professional development day without the advance approval of the superintendent. What about your building principal? I mean, they're the ones that know you and your, what they know us. We work with them every day. That is something that is problematic for the DEA. We'd just like some input in the language, I guess.
Yeah, with respect to the approval from the superintendent, it's the central administration office that manages the district budget, not the building principals. And if it budgetarily did not work, it would not get approved. And so there has to be central administration office influence over who gets to take that floating PD day.
But if you're already approving it and the money is there,
The 123,000, you're already budgeting for it.
so you've taken the budgeting part out of it. So
That would be assuming that the central office would be paying for that professional development. And this flexibility day would be the ones that we're going to, on our own, we're already paying for it on our own. So the budget-wise would only be the amount that we would receive in lieu of the professional development day, which has already been the 124,000.
I see your point.
Yeah, I see your point. And part of that, from the board's perspective, for every policy that the school board has, there are regulations that the superintendent develops in order to carry out that policy. And from our perspective, we would assume that the superintendent would develop some sort of criteria. I mean, what kind of conferences, as those are some of the questions that you're asking, but also having input from the building principal. There may be instances, I would think that perhaps it would come up through the proper chain of command and eventually get to the superintendent. I would think the building principal would have something, but that chain of command, and that does not belong in the negotiated agreement. All the board, the regulations for how that would be carried out wouldn't belong in here. You'd have to have something as a backup. And how does it actually get carried out? If we don't have this superintendent, the new superintendent's got to carry this out and figure out what to do.
And you just, I believe, made Mr. Schobinger's point. There's a lot to figure out, and we have a lot of questions. We do have some questions. And we want to provide input in this.
I want you to keep in mind, and I'm not being argumentative, but keep in mind, some of these proposals like this one may not be as easy of a sell to the board either, because it's something that is different. And Mr. Hanson and I were very enthusiastic last year to the board, and had a lot more questions. So now it's coming back again. We think that that's something they possibly would look at, but there's a school board election coming up as well. So, we have no idea what would happen.
Right.
Are those things, those are the logistics that between now and next February, that we get a group together, board members, DA members, however it is, and we talk about those logistics so we can come up with something concrete. That's,
I guess we could have a
I just-
memorandum of understanding.
We could have some kind of memorandum of understanding about it, possibly. I don't know. I suppose.
Especially
We hadn't
if-
we hadn't thought about
Especially if
it.
you're considering that this isn't going to be implemented really by any of us this summer.
I wouldn't think
And
you
how would that affect?
possibly could. I don't
How would
know.
have that affect if we found something in the school year? A conference like,
You could go on a non-contracted day, is what this says. So if it's Christmas break,
yeah.
and
See,
it's in
and-
Florida.
I mean, I don't-
we're going to take you with us, right?
But, yeah.
I just,
That's
I
the
just think
dilemma.
it's- Yes,
Yeah.
that's
And-
the dilemma. I think there's too many logistics. We all agree it's a good idea. I just think that there needs to be some discussion and work out, we'll call it the kinks, before we
So,
go and.
okay, but you're saying you're not willing to let the superintendent work that out and figure that out?
We're saying we'd like to be part of the process. And truthfully, my conference is in August. If I were going to do it, I would absolutely plan on utilizing it. I mean,
You
and I
could.
imagine there's many others that are in the summer, and
You sure could.
back to Mr. Schobiger's point, there's a whole lot of things that we'd like to kind of weigh around and kick around and talk to our members and saying, well, how do you think this should look, and how should we be accountable? Because we like the rules to be clear also.
Yeah.
And
We're kind of a rules people.
I don't think it's something that's going to be easy to implement. I think it's going to take some thought, and I just think rushing it might cause problems.
And we have discussed it, but it was the first time it's ever been implemented in a proposal, so, I mean, we didn't propose it, and you didn't propose it till now, so we really didn't have any idea on the language and how to even go about analyzing it. I guess. I feel rushed.
Cool.
we have a counteroffer to your counteroffer. And we do believe this is the bare bones that we can go, honestly. And we actually have an or with this one. We would propose no professional development with a memorandum of understanding that we would discuss it for the 2016-17 year. A 3-day graduated personal leave. The remainder of the contract language would remain the same, and $750 on the base. Or no professional development with a memorandum of understanding. A graduated personal leave as we presented it with 3 at 11, 4 at 16, and $600 on the base. We believe this is the bare minimum that we can sell to the, and basically, I'm sorry.
Can I ask about the remove references? Do we care about that? Is that included in this or not?
That would, and remainder of the language would remain the same as it is right now, because there are people a lot smarter than me who did that contract language specifically that way on purpose, and I'm not going to. And do understand there is school board policy. We do understand that. But we believe, in talking with our members, the personal leave, graduated personal leave is very important to them. And we said that since day one. And the either or comes in the aspect that, what's it going to cost for that extra personal day? About $150. So we're paying for it.
And for the board, what's problematic is thinking about teachers not being in the classroom. And that's where we are looking at. That's where we have to focus on is what's good for, what's best for
What's best for
students
your
and
students.
for learning.
What's best for our students is us in the classroom as well.
Yep.
And a lot of times, the extraordinary circumstances take us out. For instance, when I had to leave for 4 days this year to go to my son's graduation at AAT. I mean, we understand that. But we do know that, I'm not saying that we believe we're paid poorly, because I know we're not. I know we're not. But we do have lack in benefits behind other schools.
And a graduated personal leave, yes,
Is a benefit.
yes. We realize we don't have that, and many other schools do. Mhm.
There are many of us that does nothing for. I mean, other than, okay, we'll get compensation for it, but there are many teachers that don't use it. Guaranteed. And I understand, yes, I understand the concern. Yes, we want teachers in the classroom, but I think I said it last time. Quality teachers are going to be there as much as humanly possible. That's what we're there for.
Are you willing to consider a sunset clause so we can study what happened?
Sure, because we found that, like in the emergency leave, and there were no scary monsters. It was,
I remember when we put that on and nobody had any idea what would happen,
right?
and it turned out just fine.
And I believe the sunset clause in that one was it 4 or 5 years? I don't
It
recall.
was a while, Vince, do you
It
remember?
wasn't 2.
3 or 4,
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
or 4, yeah.
So,
It became permanent.
yeah, and it became
Yeah.
permanent. I mean, so I guess if we did do a sunset clause and we wanted to look at how it was over a long period of time, we'd have to do it for more than 2 years.
I think we did, we wanted to go over a few contract times when we did that, because we wanted just to see what would happen and give people a chance. So you had a long period of time if you had emergencies that occurred, or maybe you have one person that has an emergency all the time and doesn't. And there was other things in there too, but yeah.
And another thing to think about in that contract period of time, we also negotiated on, as a normalcy, a 2-year negotiated agreement. So a couple
Yeah.
contract terms would be 4 years.
Yep, and that would have made a difference.
We would agree to the sunset clause, I would believe.
I think we could sell that.
Mr. Chairman, I know our ground rules state that we are supposed to be done.
20 minutes ago.
Mrs. Ricks and I are wondering if we could have a recess, or would we rather set another meeting time? We're not saying what would come out of our recess, but we feel like we need some time, a little bit of time, so.
Well, that's up to the parties, Mr.
I just wanted
Chair.
to
It's whatever
bring
you
that
would
up-
like
bring
to
that up
say.
to you.
But before you go, we do want to once again stress that if you take a look at all of the items that we proposed and you proposed, we've given a lot. there's really only one thing that we've really strongly advocated for, and that's senior.
Well, and I guess that maybe I could just ask, is that like the utmost importance, is getting that graduated person rate? I mean, that's, we need to have that message, or that, to know what it is.
They're out there shaking their heads.
But that doesn't mean I only want a 30-cent an hour raise.
And you have to, you know, and you do have to understand that we have to know as exactly as we can, because we have to go back to the board.
And I think
And
it's
it's
pretty,
pretty-
I think it's obvious, because that's the only thing we've really stuck with.
Well, we've tried to work with Superblock, and that's going to be addressed, hopefully. And we've talked about the other issue, and that hopefully will go into policy after that's resolved. The outside the contract, kind of, that seemed like that's what I got from you guys. I mean, it's not in writing, but that's what you inferred. So that would never happen again, because it's extremely uncomfortable for both sides. And the other stuff we've conceded.
I just want you to understand how important I think it is. And I think that's why, we're down to bare bones. We knew the number that we put out there was high, but we're down to, I think, where we're at.
You're not saying final offer, are you? Are we still talking?
We're still talking.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to stop talking, because when we stop talking, it becomes contentious, and we don't want
Yeah.
that.
So then, the question is, I think we're willing to take a recess to talk about this and come back, or we can schedule another meeting. It's really up to
We're here.
everyone.
Okay.
Okay. We're not saying we don't know what's going to come of that meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we have a recess then? So I'll be right there. All right.
I'm joking right now. You don't mess about that. It's 40. Where are they? The parts of our jobs that is, it's not just about the money, but it's also the ways that you're appreciated, and it's like you get the way that you're treated like a professional,
Let's maybe hear from my own children. Not just the kids that are in my classroom every day, day in, day out.
Well, that's
Yeah, put her down the other way. See if it kicks on. Unless that 2-hour override. Have we been here 2 hours? Pretty close. Better go push the override.
Good thinking.
Yeah, because the computer automatically shuts it off at 5 o'clock at night. Unless you hit an override system. So we don't waste energy, right?
That's right, I mentioned it saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, not so much here, but in the buildings, they're set back. That's a ton.
Sitting on my kitchen table, I don't know where to hang it. I got the folding cloth.
You should feel it.
It's funny, it's nice and cool out there.
Well, there's some bodies in here. We bring
Maybe I
heat
have
with
it set
us.
too high.
Ah, just leave her alone.
No, I mean before I bed.
Oh, probably.
Jim puts his jacket on all. So is everything red lights on those mics on your end? Can you see these 4?
I can't, oh,
These 4 on this side.
yep.
Okay. Yep.
So how's the new middle school coming?
Coming. We, last week was kind of tough on the construction people.
How bad, all that rain?
And they're lucky that pad up there, they pulled lots of scoria in, so, you know, but where they were gonna hang precast panels, it was pretty sloppy mud. They didn't have scoria all the way around there. And so that crane was kind of at a standstill for a while, but they'll get there.
So the rain has to walk all the way around.
Well, they've got 2 cranes, one that hangs steel and then the other one is precast subcontractor that just hangs those cement panels. They just hang them and then spot weld them, brace them, and they just keep going and they tie into the roof, obviously. In fact, they're bringing a beam down here probably tomorrow morning, that all the kids are gonna come over and sign. And then they're gonna hang that on May 12th, called topping off. It'll be the last piece of steel that goes up on the roof to hold everything together. So that'll be kind of.
Oh, man.
Well, it'll be visible, not in a main area, but like in a mezzanine area where you could take people in there and they can find their name that they wrote 40 years ago. Which might be kind of cool. Oh, you bet. This is one project that I think has been really fun. A lot of work. But for Dickinson to finally have a middle school after 130 years of not having one, this is going to be a crown for him. Yeah, I'll be signing that. Probably, and in 10 years I won't be able to see my name up. Huh? Yeah, who's that guy? That's why, you know, sometimes you don't want to be on the wall of fame. At least I don't.
So any idea what's going to happen?
Yeah, right now they're planning to move Southwest Community High School is coming over there because they've got a pretty nice building over across the street from us, but it's not big enough. They'd like to double their enrollment. So they're going to take a part of the third floor, partners in parenting over in the Adult Learning Center. Those programs are coming over. West Dakota Parent Family Resource Center. And I think they're maybe going to, those groups are going to take the whole top floor and a classroom on the second floor. And then we're going to probably move some PD labs for tech stuff over there. Because we really don't have one right now except an extra classroom in Prairie. So. And maybe the tech offices will go there. So. They won't fill it, but I think they wanted to kind of start a little slower in case some better ideas comes up. A lot of schools are doing orientation centers for new students where they keep them in that facility for 2 weeks, especially the non-speaking English ones, so they can connect them with tough English work. And especially in Fargo with the new Americans or immigrants that have no clue, they're setting up those centers. I don't know if we'll do that. That seems a little... It'd be nice, but it costs money, you know.
And how much demand is it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if that would... Yeah, right, that'd be down with us. And who knows, maybe, you know, there's other ideas that they could come to. You know, it's not the best building for 7th and 8th graders, but it's still got some miles in it. We can use it for that stuff. Maintenance, yeah. Yep. Which we won't. It's in pretty good shape in terms of, you know, 10 years ago we put a new HVAC system in there so it had air conditioning. That was well needed. That's a good one. It's my cheapest building heat system because that old, you know, it's got the brick with that stucco, whatever it is over it. That baby holds energy. It's pretty inexpensive to heat that building. Hart River Elementary is my worst one. And it's the newest element, not counting Prairie Rose. But it's a cheap, they didn't put a boiler system in, they just have these industrial furnaces and air conditioning, the friction in the tunnel where they send that air in when it's really hot. By the time it gets to the other end of the building, it's not very cool air. So.
What about the heat?
I get complaints when it's really cold on those northwest corners. Those teachers' rooms are cold because it's can't keep up to send it all the way that far. So, I think one of the things that would have to happen to that building and the high school is to get the heating and cooling systems in both and redo them. That would be a major, especially the high school. You'd have to take the roof off of it, those boiler rooms. Those are some big monsters in there. That won't be my problem.
Well, even that heating system that I got in our lower building, that one, we've had a lot of trouble. But this year is surprising, it's run.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
But, I don't know, not to brag or talk about it, but you know, the first year I got there, that place was so.
Oh, really?
So I went up to electricity and just doesn't. Since then, I did it off and scrubbed it up.
Well, good for you, Clarence, yeah. Sometimes certain people don't pay attention to that, and it makes a big difference.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, you burn out a compressor because it's clogged with junk. You know, that's a $4,000 issue, and it's not working as efficient as it could. Yeah.
And the electrical, all the points in there.
Yeah.
Dusty.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just makes a big difference. But yeah, I've often wondered, I imagine that building isn't that cheap.
You know, it isn't the heat at Dickinson High School, it's the electricity. We pay over $100,000 a year to keep the lights on at the high school.
That's counting the yellow fuel.
Yep, yep, and 38 grand to heat it. It's the electricity that smokes us, yeah. Yeah. Well, and of course, it's more than lights, you know, a computer or a...
Well, look at all my welders, I got 20 welders.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna draw, they're gonna draw some electricity. Or even, you know, vents in your bathrooms, they always have a fan going to pull the stuff that you don't want to smell out of there. Yeah, that's the expensive one, 100 grand a year, to have lights split that. But there's a lot of electricity in it, you know, between that, the greenhouse building and your building and...
Yeah, there's a lot of square feet, and you figure out the cubic feet in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, with the practice gym and the main one, yeah.
This is still a little bit old, but yeah, we're down 1150 and they're only up 9, even if they accept I don't know.
That was good, that was good. I'm sure you
What's your pick, Jay? Option, well, you guys put it as either, or what's your preference? Because this one has 1 day and 2 extra, this just has 1. This one just has 3. Yeah, right. For everyone on the level. This one would be the 3. Yep. Honestly, wash out this piece. Yeah, pretty close. This one, I mean, this is yeah, just because. Because understand. Right. I mean, me, I'd rather mine on days. I mean, get it paid. Right. Because or something. I mean, I'm hoping to come back. Because at the beginning, that time teacher salary was from here to there. That's not. Yeah. I figured this was. Yes, 13.8. You see, it's just you. We just figured that the was supposed to be 2 from 14 to 15, because that's where a lot of people are. And we feel 750. I'm a coach. I didn't. Well, this was whole right now. Right? Oh, yeah. Right? Well, so that's about saying 929. No, that's what this is the old one. And the other ones that you guys did, it was about 80. So that's about right. That's about you know, here's the district. I you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, and you know what? I totally agree. I do. I mean, I don't know. It's just overall feeling. We're doing the steps. Well, actually, our modern teachers, that's why I got those. I think that takes care of both. I mean, this thing, whether it's 600 or 750, doesn't make any difference. I know they, well, they're very lucky to be in the classroom. That's true. Hard to argue that. But some of it's self-inflicted by us due to activities. And I scored well. Oh. That needs to be renewed. That needs to be. Sure.
Just trying to
Oh.
Then we do need some time to get this all typed up and everything.
Yeah.
But you've got to. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wait.
Meeting will come back to order, please. The floor is open.
Thank you. We've talked, we've come up with a proposal that we know would be okay with the board. So if we can agree to this, we can go home tonight. If not, we're just gonna need more time. It's not an ultimatum, just, we know that this is a safe proposal that we can make.
Mhm. Okay, so, first we would do the 3 personal leave days and the graduated personal leave as proposed with the 2-year sunset clause.
And then we would put $650 on the base.
And then where would be, we wouldn't work with the floating PD or an MOU.
You would not work with them, or you would just drop that?
We would just drop it for now, yeah, just drop it.
And we can always talk about it next year and
We
come
can
back
talk
with more
about it.
specific language.
Yeah.
Just one question. So the 3 and, okay, the personal leave days as written, so 3 from 11 to, and then 4, or
No.
just the 3?
No, I think she meant
Just the one.
proposed by the board.
Yeah,
just
Okay.
the
our
three.
proposal,
Just
yeah.
3, 11,
Sorry.
and up.
Yep, excuse me, yes.
No, we didn't just one up your proposal.
Okay.
We didn't just one up your proposal. That, we would be in trouble for that, I think.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go into the numbers about this, or do you want me to?
I don't know. Well, we can try. Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
What?
what you said
Okay.
before. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I do believe, Mrs. Fair, Mrs. Ricks, that we can sell almost all of this. And we would be willing to take back this offer minus the 2-year sunset clause.
What kind of a sunset clause would you need?
None. Or longer. I mean, 2 years is barely enough time if somebody's going to accumulate the amount of days, period. I would say we could probably sell this to our members as presented minus the 2-year sunset clause.
Excuse us just a minute.
Okay, we would be willing to offer 4 years on the sunset clause.
See if they will. Why not? You guys may be retired. You might be retired, just go, do it. You won't be around. We may not be here.
Can't do it.
I'll still be here.
We have figured out what some of the costs of that would be if you want to know that, but.
What is the cost per year if you go 3? If everybody takes them?
Well, it depends on,
Oh,
the-
what's
yeah.
the cost for just the graduated personal
Yep.
leave?
122,000, you said, right?
That's 120.
The
Depends.
total. The increase is about 30,000. I don't know what the total is. They
Oh,
don't
that's
have
With
that on
current
the-
staff
With current staff,
Yeah.
30,000.
and current sub price.
That's true.
Yeah.
That could go up.
Try it.
I'm just looking.
Try it.
Try it?
I think so.
All they can
I
say
can't
is
promise
no.
anything,
It'll be revisited.
because, you know, we would want it written in,
Well, we would put all this down in writing.
absolutely.
Then
We would, well, something along the lines that we did, that would be revisited in 4 years. Rather than just say, okay, it's null and void, we're going back to the way it was. We would revisit kind of like we did with emergency leave and so forth, and
One thing, if you have a sunset, it does make you look at it again. I mean, if you just say, we have this understanding, if none of us are negotiating anymore, and Vince and Doug aren't here, that might not happen. I mean, we don't know, but if you have a sunset, there's kind of a timer on it, which is, I think we as a board need to see the data, and we would really want that.
4 years is at least a long enough time where you're going to get a much better understanding than you would with 2.
Yeah. We can understand that.
I think we can take this, you know, back, understanding that everything else remains the same. The professional development days would be dropped for now, that the school board policy removal from the language would stay in there as it is right now. So the current negotiated agreement would remain the same, other than the tentative agreements we've already made and these 3 things.
So it's sort of, it's an average raise of about 3.6%, which is decent.
Yes.
That's 886,423 just in the salaries.
Yeah.
A first-year teacher would be making 44,713. We're still, we're still up there where we want to be.
Absolutely.
Total cost, do you want to say that?
No, total cost is $916,423.
Mrs. Fair, Mrs. Riggs, I believe we can take this back to our members and at least get a vote on it.
Okay. Can you would you walk us through what how the time frame is going to work then?
I guess our time frame now would be if we can get how you want the sunset clause written in there, and we can, I think we can do that by email.
Yeah, we will ask to work on that tomorrow, and
I think we can do that by email. We don't have to meet again to agree to that.
My intention, Mr. Fay, is just to go to the previous language that was agreed to by the parties and extract that out of that agreement and utilize that.
Okay.
sure.
That for the emergency leave?
Yes.
Okay, that would probably be appropriate. And then once that is done and put into place, Mr. Smith will recall a meeting of the DEA.
Yeah,
And that can be done as soon as,
I have to send some feelers out on a calendar.
yeah, I'm gonna guess late this week, early next week, and then we have to meet 7 days later. So we're not gonna meet the May 6th deadline, unfortunately, because of that rule that we have. And then we'll ratify it after 7 days. And we'll vote and ratify it.
But if history's any indication, I mean, we expedited our votes the last 2 times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
to
it's
try
not
and
like
get contracts out as soon as we could.
We've called special meetings
I mean,
instead
Oh,
of
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
a regular one.
we'll make every effort to expedite this as quickly as we can. We're not going to put it off.
Well, I'm just wondering, do we want to just sign that it's sort of that it's a tentative agreement like we did on the other ones, once the language is all together? I'm just asking that.
I think that we do want to sign it as a tentative agreement.
You can stop.
I can stop down and do that at any time. And what we'll do then is obviously wait until it's completely ratified for contracts to come up. But hopefully that could be late next week to early the week after at the very latest.
So, Mr. Reep, just hearing that talk on the dates, what would that look like for HR and payroll?
Well,
Or in just getting contracts and
yeah,
so on, what would that
a
all look
couple
like?
of things.
HR and payroll.
Obviously, you know, if you start working on contracts before it's done, you're risking that both sides are going to approve it. Not only the DEA, but the board. But I think between payroll, HR, and my office, that would be something we would want to have sitting there idling, so that as soon as both parties would agree, they could come out as fast as, I mean, it wouldn't be 3 days after that. I mean, they'd be ready. It would take a little bit of time, but you know, just sensing the feelings of both sides, I think it's doable. And so I don't have a calendar to back walk that from, and it'll depend on when your meeting is, and then your bylaws say you must wait 7 days.
7
right?
days,
So
yes.
that's not negotiable
No.
with your, because of your bylaws. So where would it put that for, and I know the board would call a special meeting because of the importance of it.
We can probably do it on Monday.
Well, they
We have to
wouldn't do
wait
that.
for
We have to
their
wait for our-
ratification.
We have to wait for
Don't
them,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So my guess is that if we can get it pulled together by Thursday, I don't know if that's a possibility or not. Okay? That puts us ratifying it on the 19th, which would
Voting.
give you, voting it on the 19th, which would give you the opportunity to at least get contracts out to people before they leave school.
We'd make it happen no matter, I mean, if we gotta stay here all night, we'll do it. Because it's so much easier than
And-
mailing them, and
Yeah.
they mail them back, and then the US Postal Service doesn't deliver. I wanna hand them to people like we did like we did last November,
Absolutely.
building by building. Here we go.
Okay.
Mr. Fay, we have a board meeting Monday, so, or Mr. Smith, if you knew when that
vote.
date would be that you're going to vote, we can at least
Schedule a special
We can
board
schedule
meeting.
our meeting
As
right
soon
around
as
that.
possible after yours.
Well, let's let Mr. Smith put out an email to our members and see if we can pull this together by Thursday. And then hopefully we can get back to you as soon as we know. Because
Conferences are over, but there's just some other things that I have to check on. I mean, so I'll get on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
No, I'm not recapping this whole meeting.
I was just gonna ask, you brief?
You are.
I think you can
I'm
recap.
gonna cut to the bottom.
Perfect.
There were a variety of proposals submitted by both parties throughout the evening. The ultimate one that was tentatively agreed to was board proposal number 5, I believe. That would have the graduated personal leave starting after year 10 with 3 days for individuals with more than 10 years of experience, increasing the calculating base by $650,000.
I like that.
I
I kinda like that.
I'm a little tired, right?
I think we can agree on that right now.
What did we say?
Increasing the calculating base by $650.
6,500, you can get rid of 1 0.
And a sunset clause on the graduated personal leave of 4 years in length. In addition to the other 4 items, the language cleanup, recruitment of highly qualified and experienced teachers, the definition of national certification, and definition of teacher that were tentatively approved by both parties. So at this point, we have a tentative agreement that both parties will take back to the school board and to the members of the DEA. And hopefully, by May 19th, we'll have a contract for 2016-17.
That is a record for recent years, right?
It's gotta be close, it's close, yeah.
And there being nothing else, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you. So Doug, when you get that language together, you'll get a hold of Mr. Fay and me will sign it quick and then we'll send it out.
This Thursday, was May 5th.
Oh, it is May 5th.
Lyle's working on it.
I'm thinking it's the 10th already. No, so then you're
Vote on the 12th.
we could vote on the 12th.
Yeah.
We got lots of time.
Yeah.
Put all of this in.
Yeah. I was off by a week, you're right.
I was thinking we could send out a thing and just say what works better for you Wednesday or Thursday, be there.
Oh, yes, it all has to be. So Jim, he'll get a hold of you when he has it written.
Okay.
I got it together
I'll
and
just-
then we'll just stop by and sign so that, and then you'll have copies of exactly.
Yeah, I have fourth
Perfect.
off, so I can swing down there, 4 o'clock, or if you want to bring it up when you come up for lunch sometime, you can do that too.
Excellent, thank you.
Wow, hopefully by the week of the 12th, because I was off by a week. So hopefully the week of the 12th.
And then they have,
Maybe.
and then, let's see, there's what, after they get the contract out, 14 days, so.
14 days after that, so we could still be back in before the
We
end of the school
could
year.
still be before the end of the school year, which would be
Yep.
fantastic.
That would be amazing.
Great, thanks Jim, appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The faculty from the building and
Ooh. Thank you. Okay, I think we're all off. Okay. So we got Mondays. So I think you still might want to have it. Well, this will be up to you.
Well, you don't have to have a majority of proposal. You're just proposing it tomorrow, right? And 7 days is when you're voting.
So really, we wouldn't have to have an executive session, we would just have to talk about it, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we just have to kind of.
We can talk about that at the open meeting, I think.
What is the ratification?
No, you don't, you're not, you
I know.
should be back there, we might be running away.
Meeting, do we have executive session to talk about first and then we come out and vote? No, so it's all an open meeting.
Unless you need to say something. But see, yeah, so because this is on the open already, we don't need to have, I don't think we need to have an executive session unless something comes back bad on it, you know. Then I think it's fine.
It's looking like Mr. Smith's trying to arrange something for tomorrow even.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that'd be great.
That'd be
Yep.
really great.
Fantastic.
Thank you, appreciate that.
What's the question?
Let's just jump off with how do you feel about this outcome? We made it tentatively.
Well, it's always great to have a tentative agreement. It's a great feeling to have a tentative agreement during the school year. And also thinking that we could actually have contracts signed and back by the end of the school year. I want to say I really appreciate how the DEA guys already started working